Now let me show you this area a little bit. So this is our clips list, right? Let me zoom in. And this gives you right here, this tells you the time base, right? So when it has the little clock, like these all have that little blue clock that's set to like 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock. Time base is samples. So you'll know that the time base for this is samples. So it won't be elastic audio. And then right here, it tells you that this is an audio waveform, right? Because it looks like an audio waveform. And when you see this little sideways triangle, that means it's a stereo track. If you click on this, it'll open up and you could see the right side and the left side. And they all do that because these are all stereo mixes. And it also gives you the stereo right here. Now, there are other things that go into these columns here, but for right now, you don't have to worry about those. That's more information than you need to know right now. And so we've done this before. I'm going to take, let's see, I'll take this song, The Rising, because it's a big orchestral fanfare that I wrote for ESPN, and I'm going to drag it in here. And we're going to make a 60-second version of this. So let's take a little listen to this. I want to cut this in half time-wise, but I still need to maintain the integrity that there's a piece of music. As you're listening to this, what you want to do is you want to see, I've written things in 2, 4, 8-bar phrases. There's no 5-bar phrases, there's no 6-bar phrases, there's no 7. There's nothing like that because that becomes difficult to edit and make sense of it. I've got this beginning here. 2, 3, 4, 2, 2. 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. And then it repeats. Right? Two, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, 7, 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so right away at the beginning, we can make each one of those sections half as long, and then that will save us some time. Typically what I do is if, let's say, the beginning is 3, 4. It's 2 4-bar phrases that repeat. What I typically will do is I will delete the middle 4 bars. So you'll have the first 2 bars and the last 2 bars. Because what typically happens in the last 2 bars is I'm getting ready to go to the next section, and that makes a really nice, smooth transition. But we can't just use the second 2 bars because it might not be a clean hit right on that edit point. So I want to find out my tempo. So I'm going to go to slip mode, and I'm going to zoom in and see I've got a little pre-roll here. So I'm going to get rid of that pre-roll, right? And then I'm going to drag this back here, and I'm going to figure out where one measure is. Okay, that's two measures right there. So let's see. Let's tab to transient, Command I, and then that's 2 bars. So it goes from 1 to 2 and 2 to 3. Okay, so this is about 129. So I think that the tempo for this is going to be about 130. Let's just add that in. Now we can go to grid. So if I go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3. So Command E, separate that out. 3, 4. And now the next 2 bars, 1. Right there. Right? So I've got this 4 bars. So it's bar 3, bar 4, bar 5, and bar 6. Going to get rid of those, and I'll have bar 1, 2, 7, and 8 as my 4-bar phrase. So I've got that highlighted, and now I'm going to go to shuffle mode. So that'll be this red one up here. And then I'm going to delete, and it will snap back, and let's see how that works. So delete. Perfect. You don't even have to do a crossfade on that. That's a function of that I wrote this to a click track, right? So it's on a grid in terms of steady tempo, but also that my writing makes sure that I've got these clean downbeats that I can edit to. So if there was a cymbal roll that started on beat 3 and rang over onto beat 3 of the next measure, that would make these kinds of edits very difficult. So that's another thing about writing this kind of music is you have to, be concerned about that. So I've reduced this length of this by 4 bars. Let's go to the next section. 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, 7. So that's my 4 bars right there, right? And we do the same thing. Delete. And now let's listen to this. So I'm at about 1:40, so I need to cut 40 more seconds off. But there's a lot of, we don't need to have the middle section for a 60, right? That long, big fanfare-ish thing in the middle. We don't need to have that. Or if we do, it just maybe a small taste of it. Okay, so like at this point here, all this stuff here we don't need, right? So I'm going to delete this. And where does the groove come back in? Okay, great. So I'm going to delete this. I'm going to have to do some more deleting and some more tweaking around. I'm making like a big, in other words, I've got a piece of clay on a wheel and I'm, shaping it. The more I work, the more it'll look like what I need it to look like, or the edit will be. So I go back to my grid and I delete this, and the timing should be right. Right? See that? How that worked? It worked beautifully. So let me think about this for a second. So I need to get 20 seconds. So let's see. Let's start from the beginning. Right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2. All right, so maybe from there. 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so what I'm doing is that this is a 16 bar phrase. So I'm taking the middle, like 8 bars in the middle of that out, and then that will get us quite a bit of time. So let's delete that, and that gets us really close to 1 minute. But let's see how that sounds. That's fine. Okay, so I'm only going to make this middle thing 2 bars long, right? So I'm going to delete, highlight all that, and delete. And now where does that get us to? That gets us almost perfect. Okay, let's see. Let's go to grid, and let's move this back 2 beats. I don't like the transition there, so let's see what happens now. I'm gonna have to do a little more work there, but we're at the right length now, right? Because what happens is that this rings right at 59 seconds. See, you see it says 59 seconds up here. That's where the hit is. And then you've got like a, it'll go a little bit over, but I can shorten that up a little bit more by going, let's see, so let's make this 1 note, and we'll get the middle 2 here. But you see how that cymbal crash disappeared? Let's see. Let's get rid of these 2 and see what that sounds like. Yeah, that works well. Okay, let's see about this part here. Okay, so we're going to have to do a crossfade here, right? So I'm going to highlight this just like that. Command F, and that brings up this fade window, right? So I'm going to, what's cool about this is that you can do all sorts of cool things with this by clicking and dragging, right? So that's Command and the letter F. That's a, more, so I can preview this crossfade. That does it. Did you see that? That really helps that. So what's happening is that it's letting the cymbal crash fade out and the other track fade in. And since we're rhythmically correct in our edit, it doesn't sound weird at all. Yeah, so that's a 60-second edit, right? Now, if you want to practice doing edits, I would say the couple of things to remember is that if you have, let's say, a phrase that's 4 bars and then that 4 bars repeats, it's best to edit bar 3, 4, 5, and 6 out of that if you want to make it half as long. That's, I find, typically 99% of the time, that's the best way to go. Not always, but like a vast majority. So that's the first thing. It's realizing that there are certain parts of the piece, like that middle section is like one of my favorite parts of the piece. But for a 60-second edit, that doesn't work because a 60-second edit needs to be a little bit more congruous from the, consistent from the beginning to the end. And that middle section is really much different and it sticks out. You know, this needs to be just like driving all the way through. So just, you know, so you have to realize that there's things that you may love that won't be in the 60-second. Let's try something a little bit different. All right, so this is another piece of music that I did. I did this for, I wrote this, I actually own this. I worked out a deal, so I still own this track, but this is something I worked out with ESPN. I was writing music for a project for them. Like I created a whole library for them, but I ended up, they paid me for it very well, but I ended up just using it as a license with them. And I still own the track, but they can use it, and they do. They use it in these, I brought about 25 or 30 tracks for this one project, and they use them in other things, and I don't get anything paid back from that. That was the deal, because ESPN doesn't pay BMI money for some strange, wacky reason. But I still own this track, so it's a good deal. So let me get rid of this this little blank space at the beginning. So I'll put this here, and I'll do Tab to transient, E, and delete. And then let's snap this to a grid, right? So there's a lot of live instruments on here. The brass is live. I'm playing the guitar. My friend Greg is playing the harmonica. You get the idea, right? It's fun. So let's see where the downbeat is. 2, 3, 4, 5, right there. So right now I'm gonna go right where that. So that's the downbeat right there. So I'm gonna tab to that, and I'm gonna separate this out just for a minute to get my tempo, right? I'm gonna delete this. And I'm going to put this on a grid right here. So, and because now I know where the beginning is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So that's right there. That's the next beat. That's the next downbeat. Right there. So tab to transient. And then, oops, one more time. So I'm going to just separate this out. Great. So that's Command I, 49 to 50. And that's, okay, so it's about 120. All right, great. So I'm going to just put in the tempo there of 120. Put my, back to grid mode and put my playback head there. And I'm going to add a new tempo there of 120. Great. And then now what I'll do is I'll just stretch that out again. And then do my edit again at the beginning. All right, I got rid of that, and now I'm going to put that right here. And I'm going to make sure that it starts on the downbeat, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try to do a 30-second edit, right? So that's going to be really tricky. You just really, not a lot of information. So I'm at 128.18. So I'm at about 128 time-wise. So I need to be at about 158 when we end. So let's see if I get rid of, let's see what happens if I get rid of that drum fill. Nope. happens if I do this? Nope, don't like any of those. What happens if I just started off on the... That's not bad. I'm going to go with that. Okay, so that's where we go to the end and we list. I have the same riff. Right, so I'll just select all that middle section and I'm going to delete that. All right, so now we're a little bit too far, but we can fix that. Okay, so let's see. What if I delete this measure here? That's fine. That's actually perfect. So there's my 30-second, my little 30-second guy. These type of rhythmic things, I'm not getting into like really orchestral editing. That maybe I'll do a little bit of that in the next class. I just want to show you the techniques here. You know, these types of things will help you with maybe shortening up some of the like if you want something to be a little bit shorter, right? How would you edit it? What would be a way to do that? You know, you'd be changing the lyrics, but that's your artistic license to do that, right? So these are ways that you would think about that. Okay, let's look at this one. Stupid tune. Let's go back to slip. Comedy, right? Okay, so now we're going to do one without the tempo, all right? So in other words, without figuring out the tempo. So I'm just going to do this using transient. So I want to put this, I'm going to do something called, first of all, I want to get rid of that little tail or the dead space at the beginning, which I always leave a little bit of that. All right, delete this. And what I want to do is I'm going to highlight this and I'm going to use something called spot. And spot is not like a first grade reader's little white dog with a big spot on it. That's like your parents or grandparents, even some of you might have had that as learning how to read. Spot, Dick, and Jane. That were 3 characters in the books that when I was first learning how to read, everybody had those books. See Spot Run. Okay, so I want to use spot and I want to put this, so if I want to get a 60 for this, I want to put this at the beginning of like a minute, right? So I want this to start at 2 minutes so that I can go to 3 minutes, and that's my 60 seconds. So if I've got spot here and I use my grabber tool, there's going to be a menu that pops up. And this is your spot for dialogue typically, but we're using it here for music. And you've got your time scale here. When you notice there's a downward facing triangle, that means there's more options. So I'm going to choose minutes and seconds. And I want to start it at 2 minutes exactly. So just type 2 minutes in there. And I hit OK. And boom, it goes right to 2 minutes. Now, this guy is bleeding over there, so I'll just mute him. Right? This track here. Okay, so let's get going. So we want to make this is a shorter track. So this is a minute 30-ish. So let's get right into it. So we're going to go to shuffle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. So you want to make a determination. Do you want to have a version that has 2 bars of that intro? Or do you want it to start right here? Let's make one with 2 bars of the intro. So we've got measure 1. So this is measure 2 right here at this transient here. Let's make that bigger for you. So this is the downbeat. So I'm here. I'm just going to hit the tab key. I'm going to do Command E. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. Bop. So it'll be da ba do ba ba boop, ba boo da boop bop. Right? So, you know, I sing the phrase to myself to see if it makes sense. All right, I did tab and I separated that out. And I'm going to highlight that by double clicking. I'm in shuffle mode and I'm going to hit delete. And it snaps that right over. It's like cheesy lounge music. It's really funny. Okay, so this little Thelonious Monk section here we don't need, right? So we're gonna get rid of that. So Command E. It's the most interesting section. All right, so we want to get right to that. Tab. And then now we've got this whole section here, and we're going to delete that. And we're just a few, like about 6 or 7 seconds over. The edit worked really well. Okay, so we got a problem here. Right, so we need to get rid of those. It's going to be a little bit weird, but we're going to get rid of 4 bars in the middle. No, that's about good. That's good. Let's hear how it sounds. Right, so that's 3 minutes. So that's right at 3 minutes. So that's a 60-second with a little ring out. All right, so let's take a listen. Great. Knowing how to do this kind of editing if you're going to work commercially or even just release your own music. You know, what happens if some TV producer loves a song you wrote and wants to use it as the theme song for his TV show, but you don't know how to edit your music? Well, then you're going to have to hire somebody. It just becomes really stupid. Just knowing how to do it yourself is really the better thing to do.